What is good, everybody? I'm so glad that you tapped in with us. Kyle Pitts is alive. He is alive. He's back.
He lives.
Oh, Adam, you nailed it. You fucked up with the DeAndre Swift jersey earlier today. You put the hex on him.
I did. I thought the full workload was going to come, and turns out Campbell's very serious about practice. But on that miss, we did get Kyle Pitts, baby, and Mike, I put some heavy money on him just because I thought there's just no way. Like the way that post game went, I was like, this guy's so defensive. You know what I mean? Like he was so defensive. It's like, well, and then your answer, you're not winning games. So I had a feeling to go back to the drawing board and make sure he got touches, and damn it, he did.
I know what happened. All right, follow me here.
Let's do it. Oh, I want to hear this. Yes.
Arthur Smith traded for him this week in his fantasy league.
He bought low. He's like, you know what? I have to have Kyle in all my leagues, and I'm missing him in one or two. I got to buy low.
I got to drive the price down for the first 2 fucking weeks. And then this was the week that he strikes. I got it.
You could tell he got him, too, because at first quarter, Mike, he had 63 yards.
Yeah. Yeah. Did he have almost all of his catches in the first quarter? He didn't get that last one until, what, the fourth quarter? Right there,
he had one in the second. He had one in the second, I believe. None in the third, and then he had the one catch in the fourth, I believe. So he did kind of quiet down after they really focused on him early.
Mm-hmm. Falcons get the win against the lowly Seattle team. Mariota still looks bad. It's not fucking inspiring. Cordell Patterson, holy shit. 17 for 141 and a touchdown. Hello, Cordero. And then he adds one catch for 12 yards, too. Because he can catch football. But, wow. For everybody in Best Ball who's got Cordero Patterson, this guy. That's like their seventh running back. Hello. Hell fucking low. Drake London did get a touchdown, 6 targets, caught 3 of them, 54 yards. Okay. I mean, he's still doing things.
Right.
It's promising. I don't think neither you or I had like massive expectations for him as a rookie, right?
Drake?
He was gonna, yeah.
Nah, I mean, I'd say I had good ones. I didn't have like outrageous expectations for him. You know what I mean? Like it was one of those things where I thought he could do well, but not. I wasn't saying he like the first 2 weeks. If he would have continued that pace for the whole rest of the time, he did get in the end zone though.
Yeah, if he's gonna get you 14 points every single week, you're gonna take that and ride to the bank, right?
Yeah, I mean, if this is a down week for Drake London, he's going to have a hell of a damn season.
Yeah. Seattle side, DK Metcalf's still good. Correct. Still good at football. Yeah. We learned that. Tyler Lockett, man, he has been heavily involved these first few weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know if we thought that.
Well,
we really predicted that.
There was 2 things about this offense that I will tell you, and I will admit when I'm wrong. 2 things. One, I did not think that Geno would be able to find him because Geno likes to throw so much shorter, and Tyler Lockett's normally going downfield more. He is very, very in sync with Tyler Lockett, so I'm wrong there. And then the other thing was that Pete Carroll really would utilize 3 damn tight ends after giving a 5th-year option to Noah Fant. Will Dissly touchdown again. Noah Fant probably will have a good week, but you will never know when it's coming. So, gosh, man. It just really, really bad. It hurts to see that, Mike, he was in a bad situation last year with Teddy Bridgewater, and then he gets traded and actually it's correct. He's in a worse fucking situation.
Yeah, for sure. And Geno Smith is actually playing well too. That's
correct. Right.
Ooh, we're gonna take the L on that one pretty hard, but yeah, fuck Kobe Parkinson's the thing, for Christ's sakes.
Kobe Parkinson, Will Dissly, and Noah Fant. You're not gonna. Geno can't support all those dudes, so it's a wrap for Noah, man.
We still haven't really seen anything out of Kenny Walker, and he did get 3 targets and 3 catches today, so I guess yay for that. But carries still aren't there. Rashad Penny's still getting the Lions work, and they're still mixing in Travis Homer and DJ Dallas just because it's Pete Carroll and he hates us.
Yeah,
he's probably mad at us.
I will say this is one of the things with Kenneth Walker was I was definitely expecting, especially once the hernia happened, he's not somebody that's going to score well early, and I think it's one of those things, either the Penny injury that's eventually going to happen, or he's just not going to take it over till later when the season's kind of moving on and they're not going to keep Penny and they eventually want to give him more work. But early, man, it's going to be frustrating. I would not be wanting to start him in most leagues, man, honestly.
Adam, let's get to the start of the show.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it because here we go. We got Devonta Smith. And, Mike, you know what, man? It is time to really talk about our boy, right? Because will the real wide receiver 1 in Philly please stand up?
Don't do that.
Not actually, but
okay.
But he's I would say he's closer to a 1B than people wanted to make him out that he was a 3.
100%.
And
100%.
And Mike, I'll tell you when I admitted when I was wrong, but damn it, you're gonna hear when I told you I was right, because I told you guys that AJ Brown got featured so much week 1, and not that he's gonna go away, but that teams are gonna see AJ Brown's the focal point, which then is gonna lead to what? Less coverage for Devonta Smith. He's gonna be running wide open. And, man, he's not even an afterthought now. Like, he's not – it seems like Jalen Hurts has progressed to where A.J. Brown's still the primary read, but, damn it, Devonta Smith is getting a lot of touches. And, Mike, this is really good to see, man. I love seeing this from Smith.
I love to see the target distribution. It's kind of in a way, right? It's good and bad because Dallas Goedert is the one who's going to take, like, the shit. He's going to be the third option. But they're drawing up plays specifically in the passing game for A.J. Brown and now Devonta Smith within these last 2 weeks. Like, they know that defenses are focusing coverage on A.J. Brown. Devonta Smith is really fucking good at football. And if you're going to match him up with a lesser corner, we're going to game plan to get him the ball, like, as the primary read at times.
Yeah.
Which is really good to see. It's definitely not a wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 take. I'm not gonna put that out there in the universe for them to come back, but 1A, 1B, yeah, I can get on board with that because holy shit, Smith, he was eating 8 for 169 and a touchdown, 12 targets.
Yeah, man. I was kidding around. He's not the one over AJ Brown, but he's I think what Short says right here, right? It's the 1A, 1B thing, man. I do believe – I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's not the 2, but he's closer to the 1B. I think we're seeing – he has the ability to really take off in this offense, man. And the offense in general, Mike, because what I need to get to next is another one that I'm wrong on. Man, this guy right here, Jalen Hurts, is playing – I'll say this. It's still only 3 games, but, Mike, what I've seen through 3 games, this guy looks like the real fucking deal. Wow. You got to be ecstatic, man.
I am. This is the weird thing of being a pessimistic Eagles fan.
Not still.
And having bad Jalen Hurts takes is watching the first quarter. There are some times where it's just like, Jalen, stop running. You got a great pocket. Stop scrambling, Jalen. Don't do it. Or he makes like a couple throws and you're like, what were you doing on that one? But I need to remember that he's young and he's still progressing. And from where he was last year, it's night and day difference. Like, yes, I am extremely impressed with Jalen Hurts. And, you know, that prediction that I had that the Eagles weren't going to pay him until next year because they don't really have a reason. I think at some point they're just going to bite the fucking bullet and go, we're going to pay him this year as soon as possible before we end up in a Lamar situation where we got to pay him like $400 million fully guaranteed, something along those lines. So he has been playing his ass off. It is mostly the defense for the Eagles played phenomenal again. Week 1, of course, the Lions took it to them, and I had me worried at them, but they've stepped up these last 2 weeks. They shut down Carson Wentz. He turned back into a pumpkin. Defense played awesome. The only negative I have about my Philadelphia Eagles is fucking Nick Sirianni's use of the running backs. Like, there are so many times Boston Scott or Kenneth Gainwell is in there where it doesn't make sense, and I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
Why the fuck are we doing this? Like, you got Miles Sanders, who's 210, 215 pounds, and we're gonna put the 5'6" guys in who weigh 130 pounds combined.
They're on it. They're on it with our boy Jalen Hurts. He's him, and yeah, man. This guy right here.
Yeah. Frustrating.
I think it's still arrow up, but today was very frustrating, man. Like, it just, I don't know, man. If this is going to be a constant theme of like this type of usage, I still think if you can get a discount on them, like, it's fine. But man, it just, I went limp. I went limp on the Miles Sanders thing. Damn it, like. I was thinking, here we go. Like, he's getting the work, like red zone opportunities. And then, Mike, you're seeing he's not even playing all the time. And then you're seeing Jalen Hurts is going to take some of these goal line touches. So, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. TJ Gaming says this.
I don't know about not relevant. He's with the way the running back landscape is specifically through this first 3 weeks, like, he's definitely somebody you want to have on your team because he's not the worst option you're going to have as an RB2 or a flex play, for sure.
Yeah,
there's a lot of turds out there.
I will say, overall, yeah, not the most excited to see this from our boy Miles Sanders. But
could have been better.
I don't know that he's completely dead, but yeah, he's not someone that you're sitting here thinking like, oh, this is super exciting. What's funny, though? He was overshadowed, Mike, but like this guy still is damn good. Like, even when Smith went off, see, this is what I wanted to see. And when I did the Slim Reaper video, I talked about, that I don't care that A.J. Brown's come over because Devonta Smith's so good. But what we needed to see really was a game like this where Hurts could actually support them both. Mike, these guys are both, I would imagine, top 15 receivers on the day.
They should be. I think that's probably where they're going to finish.
And regardless of whether it actually finishes there this week, those are top 15 type performances they both put up. So
they're both phenomenal. It is good to see them both eat at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be the one or the other situation, which I did have some hesitancy about, but we can see clearly today. Now, Washington's defense, secondary in particular, isn't the strong suit of their team, but that's not to take anything away from when you go for one guy goes for 169 in a touchdown, the other one goes for 85 in a touchdown, and it doesn't look like anybody can cover them. Props to them.
Yeah, and
I will say that
Chris is right here, man. Like, he's not the best play, not the sexiest play. It's my brother-in-law, Chris Womble here, but yeah, who's going to step in his role? Like, he's still someone that you have to play at that RB2, RB3 spot, flex spot. So he's still worth rostering.
It really is the Nick Sirianni thing. Like, they had a 4th and 1, and you're thinking Miles Sanders would be in there. Nope, Kenny Gainwell's in the backfield. And then they don't even run a play with Kenneth Gainwell or use a quarterback who has phenomenal mobility. What do they do? A fucking end around to Zach Pascal. Okay.
Right. Now, Mike, switching gears here, because we talked about how 2 receivers ate today in Philly. If you remember they played last week, right? Mm-hmm. Listen, Dalvin Cook gets hurt. Supposedly he's going to be able to play with the dislocated shoulder. But, Mike, 2 weeks in a row here? I mean, like, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say Justin Jefferson's dog shit. Like, that's not the point here. But, like, for what his cost was, right? The cost of acquisition for this player, 2 weeks where, Mike, he's not making your lineup in best ball in 2 weeks. Like, that for a guy who's being a first-round startup pick at a very deep position, that shouldn't be happening. So I guess that's my thing with Justin Jefferson, right?
We'll get to see CeeDee Lamb on Monday night, but if you think about the wide receivers, 1, 2, 3 in Dynasty, the guys people were really excited about, and specifically Jefferson and Chase. The last 2 weeks for both of them have not been the greatest, like not what you expect at all. And
Right.
I think that was always my case where people want to dunk on the running backs all the time and they're trash. And it's like, you do know wide receivers are some of the most streaky fucking people out there.
Right.
Like
Because
they will disappear from games.
right, because
At times. I don't care who you are.
he disappeared, but like that's the thing. I'm not saying he's gonna have another week one. Like he's gonna have maybe even a better week
100%.
one. He's gonna go off again. But like the floor, like I would. All my only point here is that with this new opened up offense, I was truly expecting the floor to be a lot higher, and for him to have a game that's, I mean, did he really have 14 yards or something? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. I know it's only 1 week, but this is also coming off a down week last week. So
The NFL is such a weird thing, too, especially early in the year. Like, we watched week one, Minnesota just absolutely put it on the Packers defense. And then the Packers defense this week against Tom Brady, albeit missing weapons, puts it to Tampa Bay's offense. And for most of the game, Tom Brady looked horrible. That entire offense looked horrible. So it's just a really weird thing where Minnesota comes out and just dominates week one. And last couple of weeks on offense have not been that great. We finally got to see Dalvin Cook get going, which is
right,
good.
right.
I'm glad to see that. And then he promptly gets hurt because that's Dalvin Cook for you. Allegedly, he's supposed to play through it. Just put on a harness and it'll be good to go. But
Now, you know what? Here,
still's life.
switching gears here, Mike. I'm gonna have to scroll back to find the comment, but it was that the Raiders are a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
So, Mike,
Yeah.
let's discuss obviously the entire team, the situation, but like from fantasy as well. So let's start with Devonta Adams and just overall the whole team too, Mike.
I don't get it, man. We saw the ridiculous amount of featuring of Devonta Adams week one, and then we haven't seen it since.
Mm-hmm.
So most people would think, well, maybe you're drawing up a lot of stuff for Darren Waller then, right? Because you got another stud weapon. Or in last week's game, maybe it was going to be a lot of Hunter Renfrow. And neither one of those have been the case, right? This week it was Mac fucking Hollins. Why is Mac Hollins a goddamn thing?
What are you supposed to like? What? How do you project that when there's Renfrow, Waller, and I mean it's crazy, and obviously Devonta Adams there.
And maybe it's going to be a heavy run game. No, we give Josh Jacobs 13 carries. That's it. I don't know. Josh McDaniel, when he becomes a head coach, just becomes terrible at football, I guess. Is that the thing, Adam? Is that what we're doing here?
It's genuinely concerning at this point because so this is the team that's supposed to like it's funny how last year they were kind of slept on and then they ended up making the playoffs, right? So then they have all this hype expectations coming in because they make the trade for Adams. McDaniels is coming over, right? And they have a lot of their main pieces back. Gruden's out of town, so they're saying the cancer's gone. Are you sure? Like 0-3, I mean, this is a team that I was told that this division is going to be so damn competitive and so damn good. Mike, and here's the thing, right? Like when we talk about the Miles Sanders thing, now you talk Josh Jacobs, and I think what we have to be real about is this. Like Miles Sanders, I know it sounds bad, and I'm not saying it sounds sexy and he's some great lineup play. I'm not telling you that. But when we talk about the landscape of the running backs, like Miles Sanders is relevant. He's just not very good. He's not some sexy, awesome upside play, but he's going to be someone that's going to be in lineups. We haven't even seen buys yet, man. Like Josh Jacobs, I don't know, man. This is kind of what I was fearful of. Now, I was higher on him after, Bob Lung showed us on the consistency guide how he was last year, but this was my fear with Jacobs is he's going to get 10 to 12 looks, and it's going to be the middle of the road type yardage. He doesn't even have a touchdown. It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I think that's the big one for me that is disappointing about Josh Jacobs. It was not the usage. Like I kind of knew the usage was going to be middle of the road and was going to be phenomenal. But I thought the offense as a whole was going to be better and he'd have a lot more scoring opportunities, albeit like more like a Joe Mixon, where you're going to have those weeks where they're bad, right? You're going to have those weeks where they're frustrating. But the offense as a general whole throughout the entire season is going to score a lot of points and they're going to be in the red zone a lot, which lends it to the running back, getting a lot more goal line carries and getting a lot more opportunities to get you 6 points on a touchdown. And the offense is looking this bad. The Raiders as a whole are looking this bad. It's kind of scary times for Josh Jacobs. It really is. But you hit it, man. I mean, he kind of just falls in that tier with the rest of the guys like Miles Sanders and, the guy on the other side of the field today, at least he came back, right? I found out I have way too much Derrick Henry on my team because I got him at too much of a discount because yay me for talking him down. The what do we call it? The dump and pump.
Pump and dump, baby. Pump and dump.
The opposite of the pump and dump. What is it? The shit on and then buy.
Yeah, man. I mean, the dump and pump. Yeah, I mean, like Dynasty Alex says, we never would have seen this coming.
Who would have guessed?
I mean, Waller looked, better this week, but I don't know, man. I was really excited for Waller this year, and I'm not right now. I'm not excited for Waller right now. I think better days are ahead, but I will say, like, we're 3 weeks in. Like, how much longer can you keep saying that before it's, I'm not sure better days are ahead, right? Like, that's the problem with this entire offense, Mike. All right, so let's discuss something, man, because we had two guys that we were super excited about on an offense. I mean, more than two, but like this whole offense today, Mike. Washington. I mean, I made up all the holograms, and I'm thinking like, okay, let's go. And I don't know, is that defense just that good? Like, what do you think here? Like, I'm curious.
Philly's defense is no joke. It's good, man. Terry went over 100. Thank God.
Terry did eat, yes.
Terry ate.
And we knew that was coming still.
I think this is more. The thing is, Carson Wentz was playing out of his fucking mind, right? And the offensive line was getting by in Washington for the first couple weeks.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
They could not get by today. Right, 9 fucking sacks. Every time you look up, there's 2-3 Eagles defenders in the backfield as soon as Carson Wentz hits his back foot of his drop. Like, what are you going to do?
Mike,
what are you going to do?
I'll give you a piece that I really think you just hit on that I think Philadelphia knows because of how much, they've seen. Mike, this was the first time that Carson Wentz has really been under duress heavily, and I don't think that offensive line is anything great to ride home about at Washington. So I think Philly was horrible. Like, right. So they're saying, you know what? Like, let's make Carson Wentz make decisions in more of a panic situation. And they're going to have to count. Ron Rivera is going to have to counter because teams are going to see that and say, we're blitzing. Like, we are putting pressure on this dude.
Well, they gave up 5 sacks last week to the Lions. I can tell you, this isn't a homer thing. The Eagles' defensive line is 3 times better than what the Lions were. So it's just what it is. I mean, you got those big guys inside, Hargrave, Cox, and Big Jordan Davis.
Mm-hmm.
You got nice edge rushers. Sweat, Hassan Reddick coming off there, Brandon Graham being back, given what he is. But, man, they were all over him, and he had no time. They know Carson Wentz doesn't do well with pressure. I mean, hell, they've seen him. Everybody on that team knows.
Right.
Most of those guys on the defensive line practice against him every single day. They know exactly what Carson Wentz is, and Washington could never really get anything going. Now, it was good to see that Terry, in a game that wasn't close, at least got some stats and got over 100 yards. But on these kind of deals, man, if Washington can't figure out their offensive line and they're going to play these interdivisional games where teams know exactly, what their tendencies are, it's going to be rough in those ones. Like, those are the kind of games where I would have pause about playing a lot of Commanders. Like, those would be the ones when they're playing the Giants and the Cowboys and the Eagles. Like, okay, they know exactly who Carson Wentz is. They know about this offensive line. They let their best offensive lineman, Brandon Scherf, just go in free agency.
Right.
Like, and had no plan to replace him. And it's not like the line was good with him there. It's even worse without him there. But hey, whatever. Gibby just salvaged it by falling in the end zone late, garbage time touchdown. Not good. Not good for anybody on the Commanders except for Terry McLaurin. I guess you're happy. And Curtis Samuel did all right. He did fine. But Jahan Dotson was a 0. Gibson, you just kind of lucked into a touchdown.
Yeah, man. I had him in one of my lineups and kept looking and kept thinking like, man, this is not what you want to see at all.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this and then talk about, I guess, a couple things here, Mike. So is James Robinson a must-start weekly? Now, I think the answer is a resounding yes. He looks really good. And I think the question now, not to dismiss James Robinson, he is absolutely a must-start. He looks like, yes. Gosh, man, he is making the Achilles injury look like it's nothing. And this is not from a highly athletic or thought to be some crazy specimen, right? This is from an undrafted kid out of a small school. So really good for James Robinson. But, Mike, let's talk about ETN, because I know this team's playing well, but, like, is he in a role where we even what do we do here with him?
First off, I want to say, in regards to this game, I don't know if you remember this morning we were on our Patreon show, and I think we both talked about how the Chargers still have a bad run defense. And then we got on the Start Sit show with Ike and Gene, and I remember Eric and I think, with Eric and Gene, not Ike and Gene, Eric and Gene, they're like, well, the Chargers, they got a pretty solid run defense, like in regards to a question. And it started making me question everything that I've seen, because I was like, I'm pretty sure they have a bad run defense. Good to know they do have a bad run defense. We can confirm J-Rob went for 1 billion yards. Like, just all over.
Bro, and the other thing, too, was with the Achilles thing, a 50-yard touchdown, too, Mike? Like,
yeah, you broke that off, too.
Not just like, he looks good, little bursty, like, 50-yard touchdown from James Robinson is something I wasn't expecting much of, period, not let alone after the Achilles. So he looks great. To ETN, though, Mike, what do you think?
J-Rob is a must-start. ETN, on the other hand, is I can't start unless I need to play him in a flex or something. Like, and you got to treat him more like a Nyheim Hines than you do a featured running back, Adam. You really do. As long as J-Rob's playing this well.
Right. Yes.
Like, he's just an ancillary complementary piece, period, point blank. If people still want to give you a first and a second for Travis Etienne, I'm not big on, like, sell everybody, Adam, but if I have Etienne and somebody wants to give me that price, I'll cash out right now.
For what price?
First and a second.
Oh, yeah. But now, I would say that's probably not. What about if it was just a regular first, 23 generic first? Still holding?
I think I'm going to hold.
Okay.
I'm going to hold.
Okay.
Again, that just comes back to, like, what I've seen from the 23 class so far, and like people starting to come back around on, okay, like, we know the first 5 or 6 picks are probably pretty good. After that, we're looking at solid guys. And ETN's a solid enough guy that I'm willing to keep a dart on. So why re-roll and lose the production? You know what I mean?
Right.
Lose those boom games. Because what if he comes out in a couple weeks and he goes, 10 for 80 yards rushing, and he has 5 catches for, a handful of yards? Like, people will be, oh, see, I told you just had to wait. You just had to wait on him. And
right.
You take away your sell opportunities, your sell high spots. So for me, that's where I'm at with him, but I don't rely on him. Like, if your team's relying on him as your RB2, start making some moves. Other ones. ETN may not be the guy to move, but
right now, go
try to acquire a real running back too.
Let's talk about, and also the entirety of the offense. First and foremost, T-Law looks amazing, man, and he is. It looks like Urban Meyer may have just been that bad, and T-Law is taking a big step right now. This guy right here, man, it's funny because the 2 most valuable pieces outside of Trevor Lawrence, obviously, is the first, are guys that were really being slept on all offseason, right? Christian Kirk. Now, towards the end, as the preseason was coming around and the values were shifting, he saw some bump, but he is really going to see some big-time bump. And obviously, James Robinson, people left him for dead. He is taking that backfield by storm.
Yeah, and let's not forget the other guy, right? The other guy had a massive fucking day when watching it. Guy always open and producing when throwing the ball. Zay Jones.
Zay Jones, man, of course. Yeah. No disrespect to Zay Jones. He looked good too, man. Agreed.
But those guys, J-Rob, Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, and then being led by Trevor Lawrence. Apparently Trevor Lawrence good at football. Now, if you would have said at the beginning of the year, you hit on it, Adam, if you would have looked at it and gone, man, these are the only weapons Trevor Lawrence has, I'm not feeling so good about Trevor Lawrence. He's letting you know that it doesn't fucking matter. Well, he is good at football.
That's where Mike, I just traded him away in the Heisman League for it was Dak and DJ Moore for, I think, I really regret this trade right now. It's T-Law and Devonta Smith. And
oh, wow. Wow. Wow,
Mike,
they just told you to get fucked this week.
Mike, and what's crazy was like that wasn't really disrespect on T-Law. I'm like, you know what? I still think Dak's going to be really good coming back. So I thought like, DJ Moore still over Devonta Smith and Dak still over T-Law. And right now, I'm like, this is the thing. What you just said is so big for me, and it was part of the reason I didn't even want to press the button on the trade, but I did, and it's too late now. I'll say this. The fact that their alpha is Christian Kirk and that he's working with Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, who, I mean, he's been a cast-off for so long, Evan Ingram, James Robinson, undrafted running back coming off an Achilles injury. Mike, this team just beat the Chargers. Now, we knew Herbert wasn't 100% going in, but Mike, I'm telling you this much. This team right now, the way I see them, like I think they're in serious contention for that damn division, man.
They made the Chargers look horrible. Now, granted, Justin Herbert's got some rib concerns, but Jesus, man. I told you I thought it was going to be a massive week for Austin Eckler. Wow. Nothing. What the fuck are the Chargers doing, right? Like, how do you not get the guy more involved? Period.
Yeah. What do you think about?
What are you saving him for if you ain't going to make the playoffs?
What do you think about this here? Was it a bad week overall in fantasy in general? Like, was it a down week? That's what it seemed like to me too.
Yes. I think it was because you saw a lot of ancillary pieces or fringe starters or flex guys be the top producers, and a lot of the studs didn't do shit, right? Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, right? They just had okay games. Austin Eckler was bad. Aaron Jones. The list goes on and on of just star players who didn't produce. And the ones who did are the ones that, this is nothing against Devonta Smith, but after the first couple weeks, I mean, we saw something nice last week. I don't think there was a lot of people who were like, I have to start Devonta Smith. He's in my, locked into the wide receiver. He's probably a wide receiver 3 for some people, maybe a flex option. Maybe if you're like me in one shallower league, sitting on my bench, going off for 1 billion points.
Well, and Mike, I think, let's talk about this too real quick, because I think this game speaks to, like, if the Bills are down, right? So we've already talked about guys that have had bad weeks, right? We talked about how Justin Jefferson gave you nothing, right? Now we're talking about the Bills and the Dolphins. As far as fantasy goes, not a big time week. So relative to the first 2 weeks, I think this is spot on. A down week overall.
Yeah. I mean, Tyreek Hill right after last week, kind of just whatever. Tua missed some time there with the concussion that wasn't a concussion. Jalen Waddle still does Jalen Waddle things, though, right? He had that really long catch that Tua hit him with. But generally, the fantasy scoring on the Dolphins was just kind of depressed. Chase Edmonds got you 2 touchdowns. He was probably riding most people's bench because he hadn't done shit for the first couple weeks. And then on the Bills side, like, it was the Josh Allen show and not a lot from other things. I mean, Diggs, 7 for 74. Okay.
Right.
Gabe Davis, nothing much. Isaiah McKenzie, I guess.
Snuck in the end zone. People were getting crazy excited. Had a guy in my league put him on the trade block. Like, oh my gosh, he's a thing.
Devin Singletary getting 9 catches. Like, what the fuck? That should tell you. This game should tell you about what the kind of week it was for fantasy, right? When Devin Singletary's out here getting 9 catches and looking like something more than what he isn't.
Right. What Brandon? What's this in regards to? It's the OC fellas. He was trash last year. He said Stafford had him for a year in Detroit, and his numbers slacked big time.
Ooh.
We've been bouncing around, so I'm not sure exactly what that was in regards to.
Could have been everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, and also the receivers. I mean, Waddle got in the end zone late, right? But like, it wasn't anything crazy to ride home about for even Waddle or Tyreek, right?
There was just a lot. I mean, Jonathan Taylor had a modest week too. Like, if you just look around it. So in regards to the original question, right, there was just a lot of bad stud fantasy performances. It felt like a horrible week for fantasy, and then you top on all the injuries we had.
Got it.
Chargers offensive guy. Okay. Yeah. All right. He's been god awful.
Boo-boo.
Is that Jim Bob Cooter? Is that who it is? I believe it is Jim Bob.
But to your point about the you were saying about the weekly scoring though.
It just wasn't good. It wasn't a good week. And then we got all these injuries, right? We got a Mac Jones injury that we need to monitor. Didn't look good. Apparently the x-rays are negative though, so we don't have to worry about a broken ankle. I don't know, we're looking at possible high ankle sprain for a quarterback. This is where Jeff Mueller is going to come in so important. But
Jeff, where you at, buddy? We need you.
Yeah, a big apology to Zach. I'm not good. We dunked on Khalil Herbert massively this morning on the Patreon show.
He was thinking of starting him. We told him to sit him. He only plays 20% of snaps. And sure as shit, Montgomery gets hurt. I mean, very early to start the game. So, RIP. Sorry about it, man. No way for us to know that was coming. But, yeah, Khalil Herbert did look good, too.
40 fucking fantasy points, depending on your format scoring. But, wow. The rest of the Bears offense, trash. Most of the Texans offense, trash. Dameon Pierce, welcome back. You're still holding Dameon Pierce. Welcome to another sell window.
I didn't even do a single hologram from that game, man. It's just so nasty and gross. And that whole Bears team's kind of making me sad, man. Like, honestly, Fields doesn't look good. Mooney is catching passes from the jug after the game, kind of like what I'm getting to work. I need to just work on catching.
It's the most passes he's got thrown to him all season, right there.
I mean, Cole Kmet is we saw Cole Kmet when he got 2 catches for 40 yards. I mean,
leading receiver, baby. Leading receiver. Let's go.
I mean, that's how bad this fucking team is on offense. It's just so bad, man. That Bears team's bad. Yeah. Houston, gross. I mean, Brandon Cooks had a down week. A lot of guys had down weeks, to get back to Womble's question too. But so let me say this too. Let's talk about a guy who also did not have a good week relative. He's one of our biggest guys here, DeAndre Swift. Jamal Williams stole the show. I mean, I had to see the number 46 entirely too much out there. It was driving me crazy. DeAndre Swift wasn't bad with his touches, but the volume the last 2 weeks is scary, man. Very scary. And I think Campbell's showing he's so old school. Like, I want to see you in practice, right? DeAndre Swift needs to, whatever's going on with this ankle, get it right, get on the practice field, because here's the thing. I don't think the way I've seen him these last 2 weeks, it doesn't look like he's not right. It looks like he's just not getting a lot of work. So, like, if he's actually okay, he needs to practice, man.
Yeah. I don't know if he's not okay, why you're limiting him and just not sitting him. You know what I mean?
Right. Like let him get a full rest if he needs to get healthy.
If that's the case, I don't get it. A lot of these coaches too, like they talk about, hey, we need to play for the long term, but you see in the NFL the margin for victory is so small. And these early season, like this loss that they just had to the Vikings, like it could be the reason that maybe they don't make it into the playoffs if that was their ultimate goal.
Right.
And
sure.
I think it's a Lions team in a division where, it sounded like a fucking joke a couple months ago, but the way the Lions had played, what they have shown, what the rest of the division looks like, it's a team that could have been fighting for a playoff spot. But I don't know, man. Maybe it's a Dan Campbell thing too, being younger in the coaching, like being a head coach, right? He's only a couple years into it. So, maybe it's just too much of that, like, hey, I got to see you in practice bullshit. And it's like, no, man, you just need to get your best players to football as much as possible. If they're a go, they're a go. There's no limiting them, none of this shit. So go.
Agreed, man. You know what, Dynasty Alex, we appreciate you tapping in as always. And the fact that I made it all the way until she was singing makes me think I'm not as horrible looking as I think I am. So
I love it, buddy.
I love it. It sounds like we need to get up out of here. Let's get to a couple quick things here before we get out. Mike, buy or sell Christian Kirk? I think this is more the prices for both. Let's talk about that.
I buy Christian Kirk for a late first, early second. I will also sell Christian Kirk for any kind of mid first going forward. Or if I'm on a rebuilder, Adam, like multiple year out, I'd probably be comfortable taking like a late first and some like dart play.
A plus
from a contender. Yep.
I was gonna say
any kind of real plus for it.
If I'm a strong contender, I would send one of my late first for him. I would try to send an early second if possible, though, or one that has ability to be. I don't know if that's going to get it done probably. And to your point, I'm going to be more on the buy than I am on the sell. If I'm selling, I need a first and a plus. Like, I'm not just taking a generic late pick from some stud team in 2024. Like, I'm just not going to do that right now the way he's playing.
Not with what I've seen so far through 3 fucking weeks.
And the other thing too is not even just that, Mike, although that is a big point. I think what I saw last year, what I'm seeing right now this year, him potentially staying with T-Law for a while, you saw that contract. And let's not right. And let's not forget this is actually a good profile.
Do you get any, and this will be the last thing before I bounce out of here, Adam, because we got to go watch some football.
Yeah. Yep.
We got to go watch some more football. But the last thing, do you get any little bit, now slightly different scenarios, one was a trade, this was free agency, but do you get any kind of Stephon Diggs kind of vibes from this, right? The guy who we always kind of liked, we thought was kind of underrated, never really did it, gets in the right system. Now he's the featured fucking guy. They kind of built their offense around him at the wide receiver position. Like, it kind of has that Stephon Diggs feel a little bit to me. Are you getting some of the same vibes?
It does have that as far as him breaking away and finally going to get the number 1 role. I would say the thing with Diggs, the only slight difference was with Diggs, it was more like he was really good, but he just couldn't, in that run scheme offense, he couldn't get the target volume he was really wanting, and Thielen was still there. So to your point, though, the reason it's a very good comparison is because now he's out of that system and he goes to a new system with a good quarterback and is flourishing. And Mike, the way they paid him, like, I know people said it's a bad contract. I'm not going to argue it's a good contract still, because they fucking paid Christian Kirk. I mean, it was crazy. But they had a bunch of money to spend, and it's not a bad contract. Like, what you have seen, Mike, is this. Trevor Lawrence did need – I mean, he's featuring guys that are not – they're underwhelming when you think about names, but – like, having Christian Kirk, I think, is a big deal, because if it's just Zay Jones and it's just Evan Ingram and these other guys, we're probably looking at something a little different.
Yeah, well, they're getting more out of him for his contract than the Giants have ever gotten out of Kenny Galladay and his contract for the last year and a half. So
yeah, I'm buying. But to answer the question, finally, I'm buying for 2 seconds a first, late first, Christian Kirk. If I'm going to sell him for a first, I have to know it's a team that does not look good. Otherwise, I need a plus. Last thing, we'll bounce out of here. Short says, man, there's ligament damage, which won't show on an X-ray. So I don't know, man. It didn't look good. He looked like he was grimacing out of his mind. Prayers up for Mac Jones. You and I both like Mac Jones. We're never wishing injury for anybody. So hopefully it's not too much of a concern. I'll say this, man. If he's not able to go, or he's misses a bunch of time, or he's not fully healthy for a while, that whole team, big arrow down, man. I mean, even with him, the offense isn't great. Like, this would suck, man.
Not a fucking person on that team I'd want to roster in fantasy.
I don't want to. Yeah, I'm not going to want to start anybody in lineup. Like, it's just
none of them.
Shorts, we're praying that doesn't happen. All good vibes coming our way, man. Let's go watch some football. Appreciate you guys tapping in. Week 3 is in the books. Hope you guys are winning your leagues. Tap in with us, as always, Tuesday AMA.
Love you guys. We're out of here. Deuce.
Peace.